Probably like 3 to 4 times a week.
You're skating a lot.
Yeah, I still skate a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so you're now husband, father, business owner.
Yeah.
And you're still a professional skateboarder.
Yeah.
So 4 days a week goes towards skateboarding. And then is it 3 towards business and then the family sprinkled in?
It's usually like 3 to 4 for skateboarding, depending on like how like business is going. Right. So if I have meetings and all this stuff, then it's like I'm gonna have to, put skating aside for maybe later on or shorten the session or something, and if family calls, if I got to go to birthday parties or whatever, it's like I got to do that,
I do.
Yeah.
I remember going through that. Like for me, I had about a 4-year window when we were doing the brewery. I had 2 kids at this point, and I was still skating. And that was the most exhausted I have ever been in my whole life.
Oh, you're so busy all day.
It was chaotic. But I remember I got to a point where it felt like I was skating at a level that I was happy with. Mm-hmm. The business was going in a good direction. It was working for me. You know?
And you got to see how long that kind of lasts as well too.
Yeah, so how do you feel with it right now? Like, are you? I want to be delicate because how I was looking at it might be different than you. But are you looking at skate career and the businesses that you're building as equal priority? Is there one that takes a priority over the other, or are there times where it's shifting?
So, I mean, definitely when I was younger, like it was all skating, 100% skating, and then as I got older, and, I got into these other things, and the years kind of like progressed of doing them all like in line with each other. Right. My restaurants, the training, the coaching that I do have like definitely surpassed skating.
Right.
To where, skating, I'll always be a skateboarder, but skating is kind of like, it's still a priority, but my businesses, my company, my family, and my coaching have like surpassed it by a lot to where like that's the main focus.
Yeah.
So skating's more of like nowadays something that I do for like fun, for like relief, for like I still love to go out and film tricks and try to film parts and stuff. It just kind of gives me like a therapeutic kind of feel to me. Like I need to be in the car with my homie, like going to look at spots, going to go film something, I need to like get my frustrations out trying a trick, Otherwise, if I'm just sitting at home and focusing on my businesses, I'm very like just built up. Right. Like there's a lot of like frustrations that only gets released from me trying a trick and getting frustrated at my board.
Right.
It's kind of jacked.
Right. So skateboarding now has kind of become what it used to be, I think, when we were younger, where it was just like an escape, go do this to get away.
For sure. Like I don't, I love skateboarding to the day that I die, but I don't lean onto skateboarding to pay my bills, to do any of that, So it's more so of like, it's just fun. Like I go out with my friends, relief, like just get out, try a hard trick, like get frustrated, maybe make it, maybe not. But like, it's just more so like the process and the journey of it all,
That's cool. Because you were not a small pro skateboarder. Like you you had a very successful career, really large name. From the outside looking in, it looks like you became even bigger on the fitness stuff than you were skating. Is that true?
I mean, I coach a lot of people, yeah, for sure, and I have a bunch of different sponsors in the fitness
but even like
side of
your
things.
social media seems like it exploded. Seems like everyone that I know in the fitness space knows who you are. That's what it seems like. It seems like you became a leader in that space.
Well, it's been really cool, and I have to go back to skating and thank it all to like everything that I built in skateboarding and being able when I hurt myself and tore my ACL and like transferring over into the fitness realm of things to kind of bring myself back so I could skate at my optimal. I have to like thank skating because skating was what kind of allowed me to do all this stuff and what kind of made me big in fitness.
I didn't realize that. So you blew out your knee,
yeah,
and then started basically rehabbing so that you could skate again and got super
Yeah.
into fitness.
Yeah, so I started rehabbing so I could skate again. And what ended up happening is because of social media, I was just kind of, I post everything I do on my story. So except for like the skating, like if you watch my stories, I'm eating all day, but I'm not filming myself skating. It's like I do stuff in between all the meals.
Right.
But if you're just watching, you're like, damn, he's eating again. He's eating again. He's eating again. But I would post basically my journey from, ACL recovery, all the fitness I did to get back healthy, to be back on my board. And during that time is when I quit drinking. So I just kind of got into like the whole fitness side, the nutrition, like how I could better myself and, be the best that I can be. So I just started like learning, man, like taking certifications and asking a bunch of questions. So like super like people that were high up in fitness, and they were always super kind and just like brought me in and taught me a bunch of stuff. And, I just kept climbing the ladder, and
Right.
people kind of caught on to that and like, they were like stoked, like, oh, look at this guy, and it just kind of blew up from there.
When you say you stopped drinking, were you drinking a lot?
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely drinking a lot. Addiction's a weird word, it's like addiction it's a hard thing, I was just, I wouldn't call it addiction. I was drinking a ton, I was partying a ton, and, I was falling down a bad route.
Right.
I was losing sponsors with that. Money was being, getting smaller and smaller each month, and
Right.
it was just, when I hurt myself, I was like faced with a decision of like, you could keep partying and like just f***ing off and spending all your money on booze and whatever, or you can try to do the best with what you've built and just clean things up and just, try to better yourself. So
Right.
I chose to try to better myself. And
I'm glad you did. Yeah. So was that hard because there was I think because Baker came out of like the Piss Drunks era and then Deathwish, there was a moment where both of those brands definitely came off as like it was a party scene.
For sure.
Did you kind of get sucked into that during that time? Because it's interesting because they don't have that vibe anymore. Like a lot of the people on the team now are not what it was 10, 15 years ago.
I feel like a lot of skating's kind of mellowed out.
So skating in a whole is less.
In a whole. I think it's just like it's just maturity. It's the, different kind of eras of skateboarding, like I grew up in the era of piss drunks, partying, all that stuff. I wouldn't say I
like, did you get blowback at all during that time? Like, or anyone else on the team like, dude, this isn't it?
I mean, a little bit here and there. You would hear like different whispers here and there, but no real like sit downs or anything. Like I said, like I would party, but I would still hold my own.
Right.
I would wake up and I was still at that age where like hangovers didn't really affect me. I would wake up, I would still be pretty charged up from the night before, sleep 3 hours and like be able to get a trick and then straight back into the party, So I would hear whispers, but there was never any like sit downs, any talking to. It was just kind of like my own will kind of kicked in eventually. It was like, yo, like straighten up, bro. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. That's not an easy decision to make, man. Like, especially when you're like, when I was young skating, I kind of based if I was doing things right on my ability to get tricks. Like if I was getting tricks, I was like, okay, I'm doing everything right. And so you can see how it'd be easy in this kind of loop of, yeah, I'm out here partying, but I'm performing.
But I'm getting
and
tricks.
I'm stacking. So like this will work. And it works for a time, and then you start getting older and it just doesn't anymore.
And that's kind of like what happened is like I was getting tricks and partying at the same time for a while. And then there was the point where it was like I wasn't getting tricks anymore. And I was kind of messing up on tours and, just kind of being just a person that, is always drunk and intoxicated all the time. And people, I'm sure, didn't want to be around me as much, and it just came to a point where I had to get injured for me to see the light and for me to see the like my actions, you
Right.
know?
Were you dating your wife at this point, or even married to her? Not that you weren't married yet.
We were kind of talking when I got injured and kind of started dating right around that time. And she didn't like me drinking or partying. And like we would always kind of get into arguments when I was like drunk and stuff, you know? So basically, once I got hurt, I just made a point to just put it all down and stop. And then she was actually like, oh, like I'll stop with you, you know? And I was staying with her at the time. So we both just like quit together. And, you know, that basically gave me the foundation to build off of.
Yeah, I see a lot of your. I don't think you're doing them anymore. But there was a time where I would always see your videos on TikTok, and there'd be like a clip of you at the schoolyard, like looked just wasted on a bench, and then it just snaps back to you looking like a savage now, just ripped and healthy.
Yeah. Little
that's good.
like little promotional pieces. Yeah.
So then during that time, like, you know, you brought all the seasoning.
Oh yeah.
That was the first company you started as you started moving into kind of this health focus?
Yeah. That was I started that in 2018. So that was like maybe a few years after I started like kind of cleaning up my whole situation.
So you hurt your knee in 16?
I don't know. I don't know the dates, you know. I mean, skating, we get injured all the time.
Right. Okay.
You know.
Okay.
But yeah, it was about 11 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got hurt as I was basically exiting my career. And then, okay, so how did this come about? Were you starting to think like, okay, I'm hurt, I'm trying to get better, I don't know how much longer I have, let me figure out how to start something so I kind of have some financial or money coming in?
It was kind of like I was still making checks from a few of my sponsors. I lost like my shoe sponsor at the time, which was like the bulk of what I was making.
Was it Supra?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one left. They were like, they didn't re-sign a lot of people whose contract was up. So that was like the bulk of my money. So I was like kind of sweating at this point. And I was hurt, so I couldn't like do anything about it. Like I'm calling sponsors like, hey,
Yeah.
like, you know? So I was kind of sweating for a little bit, but because I was like filming my journey and like kind of putting it on social media and stuff, this caught the eye of like really big, like kind of corporate like supermarkets and stuff and like food spots. So I ended up doing some partnerships with them. And like, it was my first time actually seeing real money, you know, because skating is like, you get checks and it's cool and you get by, you know, but I don't think people really understand how much a lot of skaters make, right? And obviously there are some skaters that make a lot from bigger sponsors, right? But the majority don't, you know? So when I did these partnerships with these bigger companies, I made real money. And so much where it was like, I couldn't just spend it. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't partying. So I just stashed it away, right? Stashed it away and just started saving for like a year, 2 years, 3 years, and kept doing these partnerships and just stacking money on the side, right?
You're just putting it in a savings account right now.
Yeah, just putting it in. I mean, I didn't know anything about anything, you know, so I was like putting it into a checkings account, you know. I was just loading it up,
But
right?
it was parked at the bank.
It was parked, yeah. Okay. It was sitting there, right? So during this time, I was doing a lot of cooking and posting it on my social media, and like I made this one video that was like the best chicken you've ever had.
I saw the video.
Yeah, and it was
They
like
went nuts, did this?
Yeah, they went nuts. They loved it. The people like they wanted more. They were like, "This is the best chicken. Like I love it. Like thanks for sharing this." And my wife, well, my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now, came to me and she was like, "You should, you know, bottle this up and sell it, you know, instead of like giving away all your stuff, you know, like you could sell it. It makes it easier for people to make healthy, delicious food at home, and they don't need to buy 6 different spices. They could just buy one that has all 6 spices in it." So we did our research. YouTube's a beautiful thing. And we figured everything out, started calling manufacturers around town, and we called this one manufacturer that was like super down, family owned. Like, he's like, this is my cousin, this is my sister. Like, we're walking through the warehouse, super big warehouse. And he was super cool. So we gave him our spice builds, and he did the whole thing for us. And that was like when it started. The spice company called it Neen Williams Co. NADC Spices. It started from there.
So did you have to deal with minimums at this point? Do you remember your first order?
Not necessarily, because so it's like the son. So he has the main like big warehouse
Right.
that's family owned. That's his dad's thing. But then he also has his side hustle, his side spice company too. So when I first started, I didn't order like a ton of spices. I just ordered what I knew I could, or what I thought I could sell. So he did it on the side from his
Okay.
basically company, right?
And then did they send it to you and you like stored it at the house and packaged it
Yeah.
and sent it out, or did they do that?
So I spend a little bit extra for them to bottle stickers, all that, because obviously you need certain licenses and stuff to handle food and all that stuff, So they do it all, seal it up, put my stickers on, my labels, send them to me in boxes. I get the orders, I pack them, I deliver them.
And then you sell everything through like social?
Yeah, mainly like most marketing is through social. It's just through my stories organically as I cook food and stuff. And
And then pass them to a site they can order, ships over the house.
Exactly. Yeah, I never really did anything like extra with it. It was just always like whatever on social media, like show the spices, cook with the spices, do your thing, pop the link up in there, and if people want to try it, they could try it.
Has it become pretty consistent, like income-wise coming in?
It has, but it like I also say, it's like I haven't really done much with it. There's way more I can do, but I've been kind of just like letting it coast on the side, because it's also like not a main source of income for me.
Right.
It's just something that's kind of working on the side,
Right.
Okay,
so then when did you launch the first burger spot?
Burger spot, I think about 3 years ago.
And then how many do you have now?
7, and we
Jeez.
open up number 8 on Friday.
Okay, I love that. So,
Yeah.
so walk me through that. You guys launched one, it took off, and then you found another city to put it in. That took off.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably want to start from the beginning with it. So I met my partner. His name's Philip Franklin Lee. Super solid chef. He's from the Valley, actually.
Oh, he's my hood.
Yeah. Yeah. So he actually grew up skateboarding, and I was going to Austin one day, and I always use my social media to get like food spots and stuff. So in my stories, I'd be like, yo, I'm going to wherever, like, where should I eat tonight? And like homies will start sending me stuff. So I did that. I was like, I'm going to Austin. Where should I eat tonight? He replied, because he was following me, and he was like, come to my restaurant. And I was like, all right, like, I'll come over. I'm like, what is it? He's like, sushi. And I was like, okay, sick. So like, I don't even look up the restaurant or anything. I'm like, all right, what time? Like, I'll see you there, drive to Austin, do what I had to do, go to his restaurant, which is inside of this other restaurant. It's like hidden in the back. They like open the wall, and there's a small little like intimate like sushi omakase in the back. And it's like a 17 course, like fine dining, like super high quality. I thought I was going to get like spicy tuna rolls or something, California rolls, but this is like high quality, like crazy good sushi. So me and him start to talk, and like I'm showing him all my photos of like the food I'm making and the things I cook on and stuff. And he's like, yo, like, you have a hearth in your backyard? Like, I have one of those in my first restaurant. And like me and him, we're just broing down, So I brought him some spices, because he told me to come to his restaurant. So I gave him my spices. I was like, here, like, thanks for, having me come to your restaurant, try it out. It was amazing. I didn't think he was going to enjoy my spices, but he actually started using them on his food at home and stuff. And he was like, yo, these are really good. Like, we should probably do something together one day, like utilizing these, And I was like, let's do it, We both like burgers. And at the time, it's like we had our favorite burgers in Austin and stuff, but there was like something missing, you know. And we obviously, I always say food's subjective. It's like your opinion. Like you may like lettuce and tomatoes, I may just like cheese and onions. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't really say what's the best and what sucks, and like that's your opinion. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we wanted to make our vision of the perfect burger, you know? So me and him, we got together, we started messing around with different types of meat, quality. We use 100% Japanese Wagyu, certified. There's a lot of stuff too with Wagyu because it's raised here in Texas, but FDA or, you know, the US basically, there's only like a certain percentage that, don't quote me here, but like American Wagyu only has to be a certain percentage, where like the Japanese grading scale is a lot higher.
Meaning better quality?
Better quality, yeah. So our stuff is like right on par with the Japanese stuff, to where you could like actually taste it in the beef. Like it's so juicy and like fatty and like just delicious, you know? But yeah, so we created this burger and we're like, that's the burger, using my spice rubs. And we were like, okay, so meanwhile, I'm skating, I'm training, I'm coaching. He has like other restaurants that he owns and that he has to take care of. So we're coming from two different careers, but we're like, hey, let's start doing pop-ups and like, let's just roll the flat top out, make some burgers, give them away, see what people think. So we do this for like maybe a year or two. We like pop up at the comedy club with the flat top. We're like, put our money together, get 50 burgers and just give them away, you know, cook them right there on the spot, give them away to people. People are stoked, you know, and we do that again and we do that again. Then we do a birthday party at the barracks and we're giving everybody burgers, you know, boom, 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 boom. And then one day a friend of ours approaches us and he's like, hey, like your burgers are super delicious. Like, I have this open kitchen at one of the bars that I have on Rainy Street. He's like, do you guys want to actually sell burgers instead of giving them away? And we're like, all right, let's try that out, you know? And so that was the first one, you know, we partnered up with the bar, took over the kitchen, started selling burgers out of the kitchen. And then an opportunity popped up to where we found this building in Chicago, my hometown, where it had the perfect like speakeasy basement for my partner's sushi restaurant, but they wouldn't give him that basement because you have to walk through the bar upstairs to get it without taking the bar too. And the bar had a full kitchen. So he hit me up and he's like, hey, like, you want to bring NADC to Chicago? And I was like, yeah, like that's my hometown. Like that's like a dream come true, you know? So we were like, okay, like we'll run this bar. We'll put NADC burger in the back of the bar, and then I'll have my sushi in the basement as a speakeasy, you know? So that's how the second location popped up.
Dang, okay.
Yeah,
so then
yeah.
where are they? Is it all Texas and then one in Illinois?
So now, to the present day, we have 4 in Austin, 1 in Chicago, 1 in Denver, and then the 1 in Fort Worth. Yeah. And we're opening up our second location in Chicago next week on Friday.
Okay, so when you open a new one, like how much capital does it take? Is it a heavy lift to get the first one started? And then I guess the second question would be, when you want to open up a new shop, are you just taking money from the first one to help you launch the second one?
Yeah, so I mean, that's been our motto so far, is just kind of like, with the money that we're making from these restaurants, we just basically reinvest it into the next one.
Right.
So that's how we've been able to open these other ones in different cities and stuff. It's just reinvesting the money, and it's just going in a circle right now. As for how much it is, it depends on the build out. Right. So if we are fully building everything out, equipment, chairs, this, that, the other, paint, all that stuff, it's going to be fairly expensive. But if it's like it's like a second generation restaurant, then it's a lot easier.
Got it.
Because they already have everything kind of set out. you have to get a couple things, you know, like kind of redo it, give it a makeover, and it's a lot like better for a burger restaurant.
Right. That makes
You know?
sense.
Yeah.
So I always had the opinion that restaurants were bad investments. I always thought like they were the hardest thing to succeed at.
I mean,
but you are proving me wrong. I mean, you're crushing it.
Thank you, man.
So my question is, what do people do wrong when they're launching restaurants? And why does it seem like they struggle so much, but you guys are now spitting up your 8th burger spot, and we hear it even when we came out. It's unbelievable.
I mean, from my experience, I mean, obviously, like, I haven't been in this for that long, so I'm not, like, extremely educated in what are all the faults and stuff, you know? But I feel like, you know, sometimes when people open, when you shoot for the stars and you go for, like, a really big place and you have to redo everything, you build the building from scratch and stuff, you're kind of taking on a lot of debt at that point. And I think... also having like a crazy big menu too can also play into that because your overhead, your food percentages are going to be way higher. You know, we do 1 burger and fries, you know, so our overhead's like not that gnarly, you know. Obviously the quality of meat is expensive, but you're doing one thing, you know. It's not like you're doing a venison backstrap, you know, a rack of lamb, this, that, you know what I mean? It's like very like concealed, or,
right?
You know,
yeah. And I like that you guys took the approach of like very much you're building it as grassroots as you could have done it, right? Like pop-ups, giving burgers away, having, you know, people experience it without even the cost risk, building your name ID, and then launching your first store. Like you guys, you can definitely say that from a risk standpoint, that is the absolute best way to launch something. Yeah, that's smart. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun journey, and you know, I just want to touch on that last statement. It's just, you know, so I don't really know kind of like what can go wrong with some of these restaurants that do bad, you know, but I think just the model that we went on has helped us be able to expand like faster and better. And the fact that the burger is delicious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that also helped, you know, one thing, our whole motto is like make one thing and do it the best that you can do it. You know, instead of like confusing our cooks and our chefs and stuff, it's like we do one thing, we do it the best that we can do it. We do it one way. You can switch it up if you could take stuff off if you want. We always suggest that you try it the way that it is because that's how we intended it to be enjoyed, you know, because all the flavors work together. Like it's like a umami, like the ratios of everything, you know. But, you know, obviously I know people have different taste buds and they like different things.
Yeah. This one, when I moved into, like when we did the brewery, I never really got blowback from other skaters about doing the brewery. When I started Commune, I started getting blowback from skaters, right? Mainly
it's always a funny thing.
Yeah, and look, in some regards, I understand it, and the other part is like you're still skating. Yeah. So like you're still putting out content of you skating, and then you're doing content with fitness and food. Where I stopped all skate content and moved over, right? And I was talking about money, which that's not a normal thing to talk about for skaters, right? My question to you is, did you get any blowback or did you get people following you that went, I don't want you doing this? Or has it been pretty supportive?
It's been very supportive. I mean, with all my build outs too, I tried to keep it true to like skateboarding and like what I grew up in. Obviously, we sell a higher point burger because it's Wagyu, so it's not skate friendly in so to speak. Like when I was younger in skateboarding, I didn't really have much money, you know, so I understand that. But it's like, you know, you don't want to. I mean, burgers are delicious, but this is more of like a treat burger. This is like if you want to go have an amazing burger, you go get this burger. You know, it's not like I'm going to buy a Wagyu burger every single day. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, most skaters have been supportive. Of course, there's trolls on the internet, so they're going to troll, you know, but for the most part, like friends, people that follow me, they've all been super supportive. They stop by the shop. you know, they tag me, they do their Not a Damn Chance. Like, it's super sick to see, you know.
Oh, that's good.
And, you know, it's just food. But like I was saying, with the build out too, I like a lot of my spots have like couches and like TVs and like kind of like skate shop vibe.
Right.
You know,
So you
I'll
can
have
feel the
skateboards on
skate
the wall.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, I kind of try to, like, me and my partner, who comes from skating as well, we just try to make it feel just like vibed out. We got like hip hop chill music playing. Like, it's just like a vibe.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you could come and chill. Like, it's not, you know, no one's trying to kick you out. Like, sit on the chair, hang out as long as you want. You know, the one here in Fort Worth, we're partnered up with a comedy club, so you could go watch a show afterward or whatever. Like, it's just kick back and chill. There's a bar in there. I don't drink, but there's a bar, so enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, do what you want to do. You know.
Have you been to New's burger spot?
I've only been to the one on Beverly.
Okay, so he's got multiple also.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, both of you guys
Yeah,
just
yeah.
crushing it. How's his burger?
Super good.
Is it, So what is it different? I understand the Wagyu component, but is his like smash burger style?
Yeah, so his is more of like that super smash style, or at least the one that I tried, where it was like very flat, kind of like big. Yeah. Whereas like with ours, we do like a semi smash. Like, we have our burger balls, we put them down, we smash them, but we smash them to where they're still about a quarter of an inch thick or so to keep the integrity of the Wagyu. They're cooked to about medium well, so they're pretty pink in the inside. And that's just so, like, when you bite in there, there's like juices like exploding. It's just like juicy, like fatty. Like, that's what we're looking for, you know?
Got it.
Whereas, like, you know, with the viral kind of smash burger nowadays, it kind of like, it turns it almost into a beef jerky, but, you know, Nuge's is Wagyu as well. So his one still stays fatty and flavorful. And like juicy as well, but it's just more of a flatter smash.
Got it.
But I mean, I'm a connoisseur of burgers. Like, when I'm having my treat meal, I'm probably either having burgers, pizza, or tacos. Like, those are my three tops, you know?
Okay, so talking about, like, you mentioning treat meals from a health standpoint, like, how are you eating, and what do you think the healthiest way to eat is?
I mean, that's gonna be different for each person. You know?
So there's no one size fits all.
Not necessarily. You know, there's a lot of talk about this stuff is bad, that stuff is good, like all that stuff. Realistically, I think,
Like, do you eat a lot of processed food?
that's what I'm going to say. Is like, realistically, in my opinion, it's like to keep processed foods to little to none, if you can, probably little, because moderation, I feel, is the best, you know? And then just focusing mostly on whole foods, like meats, proteins, fruits, vegetables, some grains here and there, you know? I think that is like probably going to be a good way to eat for most people. Not all people, but most people. I think, you know, the kind of American diet of like, you know, eating fast food all the time and, you know, very highly palatable foods that are very caloric dense, you know, packed with sugars and all these other like preservatives and stuff. If you eat a ton of that stuff on the daily, I don't think that's probably the best for you.
American diet, it's so good, but it's so trash.
Yeah, like it's highly palatable, so it's so good, but it's just probably not the best for you. I think just
So is it all the sugar? Is that the problem with our diet? Is you put so much sugar in it?
I don't even think it's sugar, man. Because sugar is like, if eaten in the right circumstances, sugar can help like replenish glycogen in your muscles. It could help like with protein synthesis and stuff, you know, like sugar can help with things, you know, and can be used for specific kind of things to like help with recovery and everything. You know?
Interesting.
But I think it's like, it's just like drinking or something or smoking. It's like, if you overdo it and abuse it, then it becomes a bad thing. But if you know about it and know when to, like, if you're out, you know, you guys said we're going to play golf, right? If you're out playing golf and as you're playing golf, you have some sugar, like that's just going to go into your body to help with recovery and with energy and stuff. You know what I mean? But if you're sitting around like doing computer work all day and you're just drinking, you know, the Big Gulp or something, right? Like that sugar is just has there's no purpose for it because you're not moving, you're not really burning anything, you know? So
That's interesting.
I think that's where we run into problems.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've noticed that, like, dude, my work now, I'm freaking sitting down in front of a computer all day, right? I'm not skating any longer. And so I started feeling like shit, like just like no energy, not great. I cut out sugar. Like I started eating basically like all protein, sugar gone, processed food gone. And then I started feeling really good. I didn't even think of it. Maybe it's because I don't do a lot exercise-wise.
It's also like a elimination.
Maybe this is my coming to Jesus moment. And Neen's here. He's like, Mikey, listen, we're going to change your eating up. You're going to start working out with me.
So a couple things I wanted to say on that is when you're eating like sugary foods and just kind of sitting around, even like bread and like certain processed foods, they're very high on the glycemic index chart. So what they do is they shoot your blood sugar up, like super gnarly, and then you drop.
Yeah.
So then that's what makes you feel like tired and beat up and like sluggish and stuff. Because if you weren't doing anything and you had a bunch of sugar, like your blood sugar just went up and then it crashed down.
You're nailing it. I had the full crash. Like I had to time multiple coffees throughout the day to try to stay up. I had the crash. That was the thing I noticed when I cut it out, all like bread, sugars, all of that, is there was no drop off anymore. I just felt like I was just straight line energy.
You're coasting.
Yeah.
You're coasting. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So calories is energy. So you eat calories for energy. So normally like if you're going to be very active, you want to eat more food. If you're going to like be chilling, like it's kind of casual to eat, like, you know, focus more so on proteins and stuff and a little less kind of carbs at that point.
Are you working with any skaters on the fitness side?
Not really. I mean, well, I'll take that back. I mean, so in the app, the Ladder app, the one I coach for, I
don't know the Ladder app.
Yeah, so I've been coaching for the Ladder app for probably like 4 to 5-ish years or something.
Is the Ladder app like a marketplace for fitness, or is it?
No, it's like it's a fitness app, and there's only like probably like 12 of us coaches on there. It's very specific to each kind of like type of fitness that you're looking for. And I have like over 2,000 people that I train on there. Yeah, and a lot of them are skaters.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah.
So do you get paid from them like a monthly retainer, or is it based on the people that are like signed up for you as the coach?
Yeah, it's based on like, I would say commissions, right? Subscriptions and commissions, and we're partnered up. Me and the app are like equal partners, and that's how it goes.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind me asking, from all the money that you make, because it comes in from different avenues now,
yeah.
What has become the largest, and how does that stat go? Is the money you're making from the fitness coaching the most money right now? And then the businesses, or are you still putting money that the businesses are making back in the next one?
Yeah, businesses right now, we're more so recycling money into the next one.
Okay, so businesses you're reinvesting, so you're building the brand and equity. The spices are on the lower end?
Spices are on the lower end. They're on the side kind of building.
And then what about skateboarding?
Skateboarding is, I mean, it's hard because skating is the reason why I have all these other
For
things.
sure.
So it's kind of like a mixed, right? But definitely from like skate companies, that's probably the lowest end.
Okay.
Right.
And then are you still doing brand deals?
Here and there.
Okay, so brand deals might come in, maybe do a few a year. That's in revenue.
I have a few that are running right now.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think I at least my friend circle, my friend circle that came from skateboarding is now either transitioned out or they're beginning the process of transitioning out. For you, like, how do you think the best way to do this is as a pro skater or pro athlete, and then moving into creating a revenue source or a company, or even going to find a job afterward? Like, what is the best way for a skater to plan for the future?
That's a tough one, huh?
Super tough.
That's a tough one. Because like both of us kind of did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In our own, in different like routes too. You know what I mean? I mean, just kind of prepping for, it's hard to say. It's like skating is forever, but like being like a sponsored, like well-paid skater isn't forever for everybody.
Right.
Some people possibly, but not
There's
for everybody.
4 people.
Yeah. So just kind of, I remember like back in the day, everything was like skate, skate, skate. If you're not skating, like why are you into this? Why are you doing that? You should be skating.
Right.
But, having other interests outside of skating can take you a long way. Whether it's getting extra education while you are a professional skateboarder, so then you're kind of set up for afterward, kind of slowly getting into things while you're skating. Because realistically, it's like you can skate all day every day, but there's a point when you're like older where you can't skate all day every day at a high like at your optimal, right? So just knowing how to like be like, okay, I could skate super hard for 3 to 4 hours. After 3 to 4 hours, it's a wrap. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go work on this other side thing that I do, right? And kind of start building something on the side for your future. Yeah, that's right. I think that would be, in my opinion, that would be the best route.
Yeah.
And not putting all your eggs into one basket. Like you want to have a couple little different income streams coming from different areas, but you also still want to give them 110%, and that's going to come down to structure and how you go through your days.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember like when I started hanging out with Sean Malto, that was the first time where like I would go to a spot and maybe get one trick, and he would just rifle off like 6 or 7 tricks.
He's so good.
And I remember going, oh, I remember what that was like, and I'm not in that position anymore, right? And that actually was when I started thinking about the side hustle or what could I do to start preparing, is when I saw what the next generation was doing, and I was like, I can't keep up with this.
Yeah.
Right. And then it was like by the time Nyjah landed, I was like, okay, I'm doomed here. I've really got to freaking step on the gas outside, outside of the skate industry. I like that though. I think, you're seeing a lot of skaters do that kind of with fashion. It feels like you're seeing a lot of skaters do like
with fashion.
Yeah. Like runway, like shows, and
you might as well. I mean, you market, like if you're on like a shoe company or a clothing company, you're marketing, you're doing modeling stuff anyways, so you might as well get into that,
How are you now that you have demand and, businesses outside of skateboarding, you're now experiencing the type of money you can make out of skateboarding, which is a lot.
Oh yeah.
Right? I always say, if you're a skater, that's going to be the hardest money you ever make. And then you go out, and if you can apply the same energy that we put into skating outside and like, where the rest of the world is, oh my gosh, the money is so much easier to make, right? Sure. So for you now that you have money coming in with different businesses and with fitness, how are you looking at investing? Like, how is your overall like financial philosophy and the planning side going?
I mean, like I said, it's like just like you. It's like I come from skating, but like you kind of went into like more of the money side and all that, whereas like I'm still kind of learning as I go. So a lot of my thought is just like if I'm gonna put money into something or if I'm gonna invest in something, I want it to come back more than I put in.
Right.
like I want to put something in that's gonna make me money off of that money instead of it just kind of losing value in a checkings account.
Okay, so right now, like, do you put money in anything in the stock market, in retirement accounts, crypto, any of that?
Right now we have like kind of an advisor that does all that stuff for us.
Oh, good.
Yeah, smart. And like retirement and all that stuff. So as soon as I was starting to make like actual money outside of skating, we kind of got the financial advisor to kind of like work all that stuff that I don't have enough time to like really understand yet, So our advisor's been helping us with all that, and we have a couple things going for us right now. It's in like a couple stocks and everything.
Yeah.
And then obviously like throwing into money into like building new restaurants. Like, if we don't have enough capital, like I still have some stuff chucked into the side that I could throw in and kind of make money off of that too, as like a loan,
Right.
So just kind of things like that usually.
Yeah. I've had a financial advisor like for a very long time. Right when I started making money, my parents like, go get a financial advisor.
Smart,
right?
man.
And I did it the same way. Like I didn't know much. I would just look at him and go, what should I do? And I just listened. And then I got to the point where I started learning and understanding what was happening. And then I started using him for different things. Like now I still use him today.
Sick.
And so he's been with me now, gosh, over 20 years, right?
That's insane.
And yeah, and it's cool. I think there's a lot of value for having somebody oversee something that you don't have the time or wherewithal to manage, right? For me, like how I use him, like planning, tax planning, and like anything in the market, I'm like, run that.
For sure.
You know, and then I'll focus on anything I'm doing in real estate. If it's like more of a startup brand, that's where I can put my energy. And, you know, I'll use him as a sounding board. Like, hey, dude, this is what I'm seeing. What am I missing? And I think there's a lot of value in that, you know?
I think, you know.
So not to say this egotistically, I could run everything myself if I wanted to. Like, I have the ability and the know-how.
And I know a lot of people do.
Yeah,
too.
but I have gotten to the point where I actually think it's more valuable
to have that second voice, kind of.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%, because then you, or, you know, in my case, me, I can focus on the things that I think are going to produce the biggest result. And like if you're starting, or if you're not starting, are you on your 8th burger spot?
Yeah, next week.
Okay, so you're about to launch your 8th burger spot, right? You have the potential to make way more money creating these businesses, way more money on the fitness stuff than like the S&P 500 spitting off your 9.5%.
Spending like hours figuring that out.
Yeah, so it's like I'm not saying the 9.5% isn't bad.
It's
but
still good to have in the
you
back.
can beat your 9.5% by everything you're building. Put your energy towards that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think, you know, I wanted to touch on that is I think that's very beneficial, obviously, for like skaters coming out to this day, and whoever's listening to the podcast is like, get an advisor, you know, or like at least think about it. You know, it's a good suggestion to have someone kind of work your money on the back end for you. You know, they take a small percentage or whatever your deal is you make with them, but it's like you're still going to come up.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know, hopefully.
That was one of the best things for me. Like my parents, I've said this a lot of times. So people that have been following me have heard this. My parents were so scared about me being a pro skater. Like they were tripping because I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
And so they were like, I think they felt like if I had a financial advisor, I'd be okay. Like just get some help with your money.
Hey,
you know,
that's really dope that your parents did that, man.
I lucked out because that one, without that, I would have saved. Like I had me watching my parents, my dad owned his own business. My mom was at home, and they were very good with the money they made. Didn't make crazy money, but they were so efficient with how they managed it.
Yeah.
And so I had that upbringing to see what like a healthy relationship of money was. But if without the help of a financial advisor when I was young, I think I would have just saved. Like I think I would have just been like, okay, I'm just gonna save, have a freaking potentially a pile of cash, never would have really got it to work. And then my career would have ended. And then my only option would have been drawing from the stockpile.
Yeah.
Right. Without like, you know, his name is Randy, without him showing me how to build investments or a portfolio that was then bringing money back. That's what opened up my eyes to go, oh my gosh, if you're just not pulling more than the interest that your investments are making, you're basically living on free money, right? Because your freaking golden goose or like your principal investment never shrinks if you're not basically pulling more than the interest that's coming in. Just, and then that was like, that's all I needed. Once I knew that, I was freaking hooked, you know?
That's so sick.
I know, I was stoked on that.
Yeah, I didn't really learn about any of that stuff till like later on too, you know? So I did do what you were saying is I just threw money to the side, just saved it because I wasn't partying, I wasn't spending it. So I just had a chunk that was sitting there. And, you know, when we bought our first house, it was because I saw that chunk. And, you know, this was the time of the whole chaos going on with the world and stuff, you know.
This is like 2020 time?
Yeah, 2020, you know. And I was living.
You love how I asked that?
Yeah,
I'm like,
was it? What time? What chaos?
to me, look, for me, it was 2008 and 2020. Even though
Yeah.
they were different, 2008 felt very chaotic to me. Not like 2020 did.
So I had a chunk saved from all the partnerships and stuff, and we just saw it kind of like dwindling down because we were paying, more than our mortgage in rent, in LA and stuff. And we were just like, all right, I was bothering my wife for a while about like, let's just get something in your hometown. Like we would come here for holidays, and I was like, your money goes a long way. You can get a sick property. Like it's just dope, And when that happened in 2020, we were just like, we made the move. We were like, all right, like, let's do it. So we just went on like Zillow and like,
Came out here, bought the house.
well, we like threw some offers, and one of them got accepted. Never seeing the house before, just like throwing it, and we were like, all right, cool. And then luckily her parents live here, so they were able to check it out, and they gave us the okay.
Oh,
and then we came out and just moved everything from LA here, and now we've been here.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who's a pro skateboarder. I'm not going to say his name, but years ago he came to me and he was like, "Dude, I have a lot of money. It's sitting in my checking account." Same situation, right? And it was like $1 million.
Jeez,
It was a lot, right? And he's like, "What do I do?" And I'm like, "Dude, get that out." Right? I was like, "You got to get this invested." But what I told him, and I actually think this is important, and you experience this as well, saving is the hardest part, actually. Like, not spending everything you make is the hardest part of setting yourself up. You just then have to take the next step. And the next step is actually way easier. So I think if you are somebody who's actually saving, that is the discipline that you need. And then figuring out what to do afterward that's the make or break in my perspective.
kind of where to put it.
Yeah, where to put it. Because the hard part is, that's the part that we're not taught.
Yeah.
I think most of us are taught don't spend everything you make, but then it's difficult. So that's not always easily achievable, but most of us understand you shouldn't do that, right?
Yeah.
The next step of where do I invest it? How do I invest it? That's the stuff that's left out. So I think most people just go in and go, what do I do? Right? I don't think it's as complicated as it feels. It's just we're not really taught what to do,
I think it's also scary because it's like you have this stack of money.
Heck yeah.
And then it's like you put it in this, you put it into these different accounts, right, to like make more money from it. And you're like, I don't want to give you 50, 100K here, like you don't want to see that money get out of your bank account almost, right? Because you're like, what if it all just disappears?
Hey, did you use an agent when you were doing deals for your skate deals?
I had a couple friends that would help me. But I have an agent now, a manager now.
That helps you negotiate anything you're going to do. When you were skating, I think, because it seems like everyone with Supra and crew were making decent money, right? When you were in that, I'm going to call it your peak of income-wise for skateboarding, were you like, I'm crushing it, or and I'm good to go, or were you ever concerned about what life after skating was going to look like?
No, I mean, you lived for the moment. You never really thought about future. Like, oh, I got this 3-4 year contract, and each year it goes up in money, like sick, but you never think like what happens after that 4th year, what happens after that 3rd year,
Why do you think that is? Like, how could you change that in the skate world?
I think just more conversations like this where people actually bring it up and talk about it,
Right.
I think that would help it. I think, obviously it's like with skating, it's like there's always going to be more gnarlier skaters each kind of decade. Like, like there's just younger, gnarlier rippers that grew up watching like gnarlier tricks that are always going to be gnarlier than the previous kind of generation, right? So I think, just knowing that the skater life is only so long for professional skating, and if just kind of knowing that it could possibly end at the end of that 3-4 year run, and knowing like how to like invest that money that you are going to make from skating, I think would be a smart kind of move.
Yeah. Gosh,
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. It was just as you said it, just reminding me how the length of the contract that I would get was the security I had, right? It was like, did a 3-year deal with Etnies.
Yeah,
I was like,
sweating.
yes, 3 years.
3 years, I'm good.
You know, and then I remember what's so interesting is I remember in the beginning, like I was on DVS and then I went from DVS to Etnies and Etnies to DC, and every contract would end and then I would be in a position to negotiate to get more. And so I experienced this like upward trajectory of making money. And then I remember it shifting and going, oh gosh, could I get just what I have now?
Going the other
And then
way.
I was like, and can I get longer?
Yeah.
Right? Like I only have 3-year deals. Like, could I get a 5-year deal? And it was just interesting how it shifted from I've got demand, which means I have leverage to negotiate, and I wanted less on my deals so that I could have the potential pop. And then, as you know, I was probably, this was during St. Archer. During St. Archer, I definitely was like, dang, I just want length now.
Yeah.
Just give me some security.
Security over time. Yeah.
It's interesting how that changes.
Yeah, I mean, even if I do like any partnership outside of skating, I always opt for like a longer partnership because if I'm going to promote something, it's like I want to kind of like be into what I'm promoting and not like just like one and dones are cool if it makes sense, but like I rather have like kind of longevity with a company and kind of build kind of more of a relationship instead of just like, here's this product, check it out, done. You know, it's like, no, I want to actually use it and be about it, you know?
Yeah, we were actually talking about this yesterday. Like, I think most companies still don't understand marketing today. Like social media, you know, we all know that social media changed things, right? And it's just interesting to see how brands go about paying influencers or content creators now. Like, I get hit up for brand deals all the time. And they want just this one-off brand deal. And I'm like, guys, I'm not going to add any value to you by just doing one random post for you. It's going to make me look awful for my following. And so if you want me to do this, I'm telling you right now, the dollar amount is going to be astronomical. Yeah. It will not be worth it for you. If it's a one moment deal. But then like you start trying to explain to brands that should know this. If we do a longer deal, you now give me time to actually build a relationship with, you know, your product and my audience.
For sure.
And now it doesn't look like a money grab. You know, I think you should always try to find things that really pair into what you're actually doing. For sure. But I do the same thing. I'm like, hey, look, this can cost you $3,000 a month for a year, or you're going to pay me 40 G's for one post.
Yeah, just one hit. Yeah.
Pick your post. You know, most people say no to the 40 G's, but I'm still hard on it. You know? All right, Neen, how can everyone find what you're doing? The spices, burger spots, fitness coaching.
So I mean, the easiest way is my Instagram, at Neen Williams, Neen Williams. I have like a little link tree there, so it has like everything. Has like my restaurants, has my spice company, which is neenwilliamsco.com. Training, it has my program, which is all the stuff that I do for skateboarding that has kept me. I'm about to hit 40 on my skateboard, jumping down stairs and handrails still. So you could get all that from my Instagram, just at Neen Williams.
Gosh, the fact that you just said you're almost 40 and you're skating the way you skate and look like that was very humbling for me right now. Dang, I'm only 2 years older than you. And I'm like grandpa over here. I'm like, can I kickflip up the curb? Sheesh.
I bet you can, dude. It's muscle memory, dude.
Oh, man.
You probably could switch flip up the curb for sure.
I would will my way into it. Ryan's over here dying laughing because he knows what it would look like at the beginning. Dude, thank you so much for having me. I just want you to know, just from an encouragement standpoint, watching what you're doing from the outside is so motivational. It's so encouraging. It makes me proud of skateboarding to see what you've accomplished.
Let's
go.
Seriously,
great work, man.
Thank you, man. I'm proud of you too, man. You're crushing it.
Thanks, Chief.
This is awesome.